So now let's talk about some of these roster changes. You know, Missy Hyatt has been a big part of wrestling for a long time at this point. I mean, I had seen her in the territory days, but certainly she'd been a really big part of WCW broadcasts. Any Missy memories?
I love Missy because I met Missy when I was nobody. And it's really nice. When you meet someone, when you're nobody, they're somebody, and they go out of their way to be nice to you, they're over in my book.
Yeah.
For the duration. And so I happened to have met Missy in 100, West Virginia. Really difficult town to get to. I was driving with Shane Douglas, pre-GPS. These are in the mountains. This is a little small town in the mountains of West Virginia. We thought, how will anyone even be able to find their way here? And we get into the gymnasium, and it's just rocking. There was about 800 people, which is big, you know, sold out, right? Hanging from the rafters. I go to use the facilities, and why in 100 West Virginia they have no stalls, I don't know. It's just a row of toilets. And I was perched on one of those toilets when I made Missy's acquaintance. Yeah, she walked in and caught the future hardcore legend dropping a deuce, and that was the beginning of a great friendship. And
protocol there is you don't finish until she leaves the room.
We'd never been schooled in that at the DiNucci
I'm just
school.
asking.
He never said, my boy. No, we did not know the answer to that. I think she ran out of the room.
Sure.
She ran out of the room. But Missy was great. Was always great to me. You know, I just avoided a tense confrontation with New Jack one time when during the Terry Funk roast in Philadelphia. I'm not sure if you ever heard that.
No.
Man, there was pre-roast. Missy breaks down.
Is this 97-ish?
No, this is early 2000s probably.
Okay.
Early 2000s. Missy breaks down before we go out. I go over, I say, what's wrong? And she tells me that there's a guy back there who has tormented her. Not internet trolling type of thing, but has called her names, has humiliated her in public, and he's a big guy. He's jacked, you know. And I walk up. I said, "Man, you have to leave." He's, "What do you mean?" I said, "You don't treat Missy Hyatt that way." I remember Kevin Sullivan was right there too, you know. And here I am. I'm beaten up. I'm past my prime. Here's a guy that's jacked. I'm going, you have to leave. You know, to be back here is a privilege.
Yes.
Your privileges are over. And so now we go up on the, and I was shaking a little bit. And the guy approached me later. He had tears in his eyes. He was so sorry. He was trying to say it was just in character. You don't treat someone like Missy, that you don't treat anybody that way. Now we go up on the dais or whatever it's called, and every comic has their stuff on Missy.
Oh.
It's like the same jokes over and over.
Yeah.
And they stop becoming funny.
And it's just mean.
Yeah, it just becomes mean. And one of the comics, you know, he was a guy that I got to know later when I got into comedy. I think I was already in it, so this may have been 2009. You know, I just getting my feet wet, and he said something along the line, "I'm a Jew without a job. That's like being a black guy with a small, you know, black bone." And then he says something about New Jack, and Jack comes up on the stage, and Jack starts going to business for himself on Missy, and I just said, "That's enough." And like I didn't snap, because I didn't snap in the sense that I think I can deal New Jack a beating. And he looks at me and says, "What?" I said, "Jack, that's enough. Everyone on this stage, it's piling on. I've heard enough." He's saying, "Are you telling me you want me to stop?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he looks at me and says, "I'm going to do that out of respect for you." And thus a great aversion was avoided, but it was tense. And I know the next day I was driving to Six Flags with my kids, and Missy texted me and said, "Nobody's ever stood up for me like that. You know, you are over with me forever." So yeah, I go back a long way. I go back to '86 with Missy. Always enjoyed working with her in WCW. You know, did a little angle, you know, when I teamed up with Max Payne, which in retrospect was not cool, you know. The ugly guy kisses the beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Always gets a pop. Not only is it not acceptable these days, but I actually missed and kissed her on the neck. Like, I couldn't even do that right. Dipped her and couldn't even make contact. But yeah, I always liked Missy.
I think Missy is criminally underrated, her importance in wrestling. I feel like people go to like, who was the first big blonde bombshell that, and everybody says Sunny. And don't get me wrong, her influence is undeniable. But Missy Hyatt was doing that 10 years prior.
And she did it everywhere she went.
Yeah.
She did it in the Mid-South. She did it in world class Continental. Yeah, she was great, and she still is great. I saw her about 6 months ago.
Why do you? By the way, I've gotten to know Missy a little bit. We actually helped her with her mortgage.
Nice.
But a genuinely sweet person, like a really great person. But it feels like, for whatever reason, it was in fashion to be mean to Missy. Why do you think that became a thing? I can't really put my finger on where because everybody has a story of, here's where the heat comes from, brother. Nobody has a Missy story like what the transgression was, but it was in fashion to sort of dunk on her for a while, and it just seems mean in hindsight.
I don't know. Maybe because she had the Hollywood outsider boyfriend, Jason Hervey. Maybe it's because you know, I can't imagine her being married to Eddie Gilbert put heat on her.
No.
I don't know. I know it was in fashion to dunk on her, and I never liked that because I always thought the world of her.